This clip that you're seeing is probably something you'd expect to see out of a lost episode creepypasta. But no, this is the ending to episode 19 of BFDI's 5th season, TPOT. An episode filled with characters being erased from existence, Earth becoming a dark, gloomy, dystopian reality, and a complete sense of loneliness and helplessness. An episode so dark that I felt as if I couldn't just simply upload a reaction. I had to do an analysis video. So today, we'll be breaking down Teapot 19 and its dark nature, as well as try and predict what's to come next for the future of Teapot. The episode begins with one standing inside of the moon, looking at crossed out drawings of all the Algebralians. Afterwards, she goes back to her dimension and begins fucking with the rift in her latest attempt of causing chaos. In an attempt to keep the rift under control, 4 starts distributing a small portion of 2's powers to everyone, instructing them to use it to hold the rift back. Unfortunately, while the contestants are using 2's powers to create a shield, a lightning bolt strikes out of the crack, deflecting off the shield and into the sky, turning the sky completely pitch black. We then get a few cutaway scenes, which include the post-split cast interrogating X, demanding to know what's happening, 8-Ball and Fiery continuing their quest to look for Leafy, more on her later, and Robotty hanging out at a campsite near his waterfall, with Bracelety looking on at him from a distance. Back at the hotel, everyone decides to pass the time by doing cake at stake. Team 2 settles their cake at stake first, with Book and Taggy being announced as the first ones safe. With Grassy and Snowball being in the bottom 2, both of them realize that their bond is going to be separated. Grassy is ultimately the last one safe, and Snowball lets out his iconic catchphrase upon realizing he's eliminated. No! We then cut to 2's room, where 2, for the first time in 6 months, finally speaks, revealing that they believe they're responsible for Gady's disappearance. Upon hearing everything 2 is saying, 4 starts to unscramble the notes on the whiteboard and realizes that 1 is back. Team Bag then starts up their cake at stake ceremony, where Pen is announced to be the first one safe, because... Come on, do I have to explain this? Followed by Tennis Ball and then Bottle. Also, quick side note, before cake at stake, Tennis Ball tied the Force to a pole, but a lightning strike from the rift broke the rope free. I felt as if I had to point this out, as there's going to be a ton of horseplay between these two this episode. Coming down to Lai and TV in the bottom 2, Lai's revealed to be the last one safe, while TV is eliminated. Oh, and this cute moment happened. TV then decides that the next challenge is going to be a battle royale. Oh, how that can only end so well during a time like this. So, while Black Hole continues to try and fix the rift, the challenge begins. As Pencil tries to start killing Fanny, Winner, Taggy, Donut, and Golf Ball begin taking cover, and Lai ultimately makes Death Pact yet again her target. Pencil ultimately succeeds in killing Fanny, placing Fanny in 15th place. And in that process, she gains the bit of 2's power that Fanny had possessed. Keep that in mind moving forward. All the while, 1's observing Pencil from her dimension. Marker then recovers Fanny, only for Pencil to use her powers to toss the recovery center out of the hotel, to which Marker and Fanny use this opportunity to escape. As Marker and Fanny do escape, however, Lai begins this badass killing spree by first taking out Fanny and then turning her attention to Marker. Marker tries pleading with her and even offers her the yellow token, but Lai, obviously not falling for any bullshit, takes Marker out in the end, placing him in 14th place. 4 then starts investigating inside of the moon to see if 1 is inside, unbeknownst to the fact that one is actually watching him from her dimension. One then turns her attention to Purpleface, still trying to find a way out of 4, which is where we pick up from TPOT 17's ending, as Purpleface hears the eliminated contestants that one made deals with, calling for help from the other side of the equation playground. As they all encounter each other, Purpleface then starts leading them to where he entered 4. Meanwhile, back in the hotel, Tennis Ball is being chased by the Force because... well, of course he is. But during this chase, Tennis Ball gets the idea to scribble a drawing of himself in an attempt to try and draw the Force away from him. TB's drawing then gets stuck on Bottle, and the Force, thinking the drawing is Tennis Ball, starts chasing Bottle. Oh, and also, we get another funny scream from Lai.
What is going on?
As all that chaos is happening, Taggy, Winner, and Book start digging through some items in Taggy's room in hopes of finding any useful gear, while Golf Ball and Donut head into Basketball's factory to create some gear of their own. Downstairs, Pencil takes Grassy's powers, but as she's getting ready to leave, Grassy latches onto her in hopes of forming a new bond to replace the bond he had with Snowball. Tennis Ball then comes downstairs, and upon seeing him, Pencil starts to take away his powers, which leads to Tennis Ball quitting the challenge, placing him in 13th place. Back with Golf Ball and Donut, Golf Ball introduces her new mechanical suit for Donut, and at that very same moment, Pen arrives, which gives Golf Ball the idea to use Pen as a test subject for the new suit. Unfortunately, the suit winds up setting Pen on fire, placing him 12th place in the challenge. But as Golf Ball and Donut go back into the lab, Donut disappears. Back inside of 4, Purpleface leads his gang to the exit, where they start to try and break down the door. It's at this moment where 6 asks Purpleface if he's encountered anyone else during his time inside of 4, only for 6 to reveal about 3's presence.
You didn't find 3 this whole year?
3? There's even more of you?
What do you think comes between 2 and 4?
Back at Basketball's factory, Tree confronts Golf Ball about being a murderer and starts using his powers on her, only for his powers to start spiraling out of control, accidentally killing Golf Ball and placing her 11th in the challenge. Bottle and the Force then come sprinting into the room, with the Force running over Tree, killing him and placing him 10th in the challenge. Pencil then barges into Taggy's room to try and take out Book, being able to do so all the while Winner and Taggy make their escape, placing Book 9th in the challenge. On her way out, however, Grassy tries to cling on to her for the 4th or 5th time this episode, leading to Pencil screaming at him, which causes Grassy to start crying. Meanwhile, as Winner and Taggy continue to run away from Pencil, the two of them run into the failed debuters. We then transition into Donut in his current whereabouts, where it's revealed that he has found himself trapped with One yet again. As One confronts Donut about their last encounter, she reveals that if it weren't for the failed debuters leading her to the Yoyolite in Teapot 15, Gady would still be around, which leads to Donut asking her where Gady is. One then pulls up the clip from Teapot 6 where Donut mistook Foreign X for David and Dora, where it's revealed that Gady is no longer sitting right next to him the way she originally was, being completely erased from existence. One then starts blaming everything on the contract, saying that the only 2 people that didn't sign it were Donut and that annoying Leaf, essentially revealing that she did in fact kidnap Leafy back in Teapot 13 and did God knows what to her after she refused to sign the contract. One then demands Donut to turn in his portion of 2's powers, but Donut once again refuses, leading to One to take things up another level. Cut back to the exit, where this happens.
Where'd your friend go?
Hey, Puffbag! Puffbag! She was just here!
Donut starts desperately begging for One to undo it, but she refuses, threatening to erase another contestant from existence if Donut doesn't hand in his powers. We then cut to the elimination area, where Snowball is trying to break down the exit door with Basketball's help, when all of a sudden, basketball also gets erased from existence. After witnessing this, Donut finally gives in and hands 1 his portion of 2's powers, to which 1 responds by telling him he's finished and kicking him out of her room. Meanwhile, back in the moon, 4 looks at the drawings that 1 made, muttering that 1 brought this onto herself. Donut arrives back at the hotel, only to be run over and killed by the Force, placing him 8th in the challenge. We then get a quick scene with Lai and Black Hole, where Lai expresses how she felt as if she wasn't appreciated on Death Pact, and how she wishes someone had stood up for her before she was eliminated. Black Hole then reassures Lai that he did appreciate her time on Death Pact, and goes on to tell her that after her elimination, things became hard to control, but these difficult times taught him the importance of compromise and how it's helped them to hold back less, and that maybe she should try to hold back less too. Suddenly, the 2 of them hear Bottle screaming as she continues to be chased by the Force. Black Hole then intervenes by using his powers to pull the Force away from her. As Bottle starts to run away relieved, she trips and shatters, placing her 7th in the challenge. Back inside the hotel, Tennis Ball plans on helping Golf Ball in the challenge by getting some gear from Robot Flower's shop to protect him from the Force, when all of a sudden, the Force appears behind him in a view more cursed than Top View Fanny and Side View Flower could ever be. And before you know it, the Force kills Tennis Ball. Lai is then seen peering into the room with Winner, Taggy, and the failed debuters, where she overhears Winner trying to rally the failed debuters to help them and Taggy win the challenge. Realizing what their plan is, Lai hides behind a wall as Winner, Taggy, and the failed debuters make their way out of the room. Lai then continues her badass ways by kidnapping Onigiri, Camera, and Conch Shell. As Snare Drum quickly points out their absence, Camera's scream can suddenly be heard down the hallway. Everyone rushes down the hallway, only to come across the 3 corpses and a smiling Lai. Lai then flips her switch before she all of a sudden disappears out of nowhere. And before anyone can run, hide, or defend themselves, Lai then kills all the failed debuters in an insane sequence, cementing herself as a badass you simply don't fuck with. She winds up killing Winner and Taggy in this spree, placing them 6th and 5th in the challenge respectively. I also have to point out that before she kills Taggy, Taggy finds a strange remote that she types Winner's name on, but it seemingly does nothing. Outside the hotel, Black Hole is still fixing the rift when 1 pops up right next to him and teleports him to her dimension, eliminating him from the challenge and placing him in 4th place. Pencil and Lai are then seen trying to take each other out on the spot when 4 all of a sudden intervenes, but Pencil, refusing to listen to him, throws Lai at him down the stairs as she runs up to the roof to get away. 1 then appears behind her and throws Pencil a lamp, and Pencil, using the lamp to her advantage, uses it to kill Lai as she makes her way up to the roof, placing Lai 3rd in the challenge. Which now takes us into the darkest part of the episode. 4 then confronts Pencil, telling her she doesn't know how to use 2's powers, only for Pencil to counterattack by asking if she should do all the crazy things that 4 does. The 2 then get into a heated battle, where Pencil winds up kicking 4 to the ground and begins draining his powers. 4 tries telling Pencil about 1's presence, but Pencil, still refusing to listen to him, just assumes he's talking about 2, and succeeds in draining all of 4's powers. 4 tries to plead with Pencil one last time, only for this to happen.
Hi, 4.
As 4 falls to his demise, 1 catches him, and as 4 starts begging for X to help him, she teleports 4 away. But hold on, people, the darkness doesn't end there.
But wait! There's more! Hang on to your seat, baby! Cause this one's a screamer!
As Pencil sits all alone on the roof, 1 pops up right behind her, where she begins to manipulate her, stating she's been on her side this whole time, and that she empathizes with her desire to go and fix the past, and offers a deal to send her to the past in exchange for 4 and 2's powers. Pencil is initially hesitant, as she doesn't even know who 1 is, but 1 continues manipulating her, stating that she's just like her, as 4 trapped her in the moon for many years, and that all she wants is to gain 4 and 2's powers to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. When it's all said and done, 1 takes Pencil to her dimension and sets a contract right in front of her. And after 1 final confirmation with 1, this happens.
Done. Now make good on your word. Round 2!
With 1 finally having accomplished her goal, she soars into space and uses her newly acquired powers to bring destruction to the universe, including destroying the weird alien planet and killing one of its aliens. Finally, 1 kicks Earth out of orbit, giggles to the camera, and flies away. When the chaos is all said and done, Earth has now become a dark, decrepit, dystopian, and almost lifeless reality. That is, except for Grassy, who is seen crying in the vents. We then flash back to when Pencil first started yelling at Grassy, which is what caused him to cry in the first place, and Pencil, in a rare, and I mean rare, moment of remorsefulness, apologizes to him and puts him in the vents to ensure that he's safe. We then cut to a later scene, showing the effects of 1 kicking the Earth, as Grassy starts distorting and the vents start shaking, and the only thing Grassy can do is scream in fear. Finally, we cut back to present day, where the atmosphere is now red, and Grassy's still crying in the vents, as the words "First Grassy" appear on screen. The vote screen then pops up, revealing Death Pact yet again and Bagged are UFE. No host, just darkness and silence. But hold on, people. The episode doesn't end there.
But wait! There's
We are then taken to the stinger, where we cut back to the scene where Taggy was typing Winner's name on the strange remote. As it turns out, that strange remote is actually connected to the recovery center, and due to Taggy's actions, they inadvertently recovered Winner. As Winner walks around, asking if anyone is alive, they then see a torch in the distance. It turns out that the person holding that torch is Loser. The two of them immediately run over to each other, with Loser throwing his torch to the ground in the process. As the 2 old friends share a hug, the torch fades out. So now that I've covered TPOT 19 in its entirety, it's time to give my thoughts on the episode itself and my predictions for what's to come next in TPOT. Starting off by answering the obvious, yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the hell out of TPOT 19. Between the chaotic nature of the challenge, 1 erasing characters from existence, and 1 manipulating Pencil, I was on the edge of my seat all throughout. And speaking of Pencil, I just want to say this right now. Ever since she joined TPOT, Pencil has gone on to become one of my least favorite BFDI characters, because holy shit is she unbearable. All she has done in TPOT is present herself as the most arrogant, selfish bitch imaginable. And while there were already a ton of signs of this awful behavior before TPOT, this ugly personality of hers has been taken up to 20 notches since joining TPOT. All she does is think about herself, not her team, herself. And she does the most ridiculous things to appease her selfish-ass needs. All these actions have led to her hurting others, as well as nearly ending reality in TPOT 15. And I don't give a shit if she's got PTSD from all those years inside of 4. PTSD is no excuse to be acting like an entitled prick. And again, she brought this misery onto herself by acting like such a bitch even before joining TPOT. And what makes her even worse is that she shows little to no remorse or accountability for her wrongdoings. And hell, even after Penn gave her such a heartfelt life lesson in TPOT 17, which I made a video on, go check it out if you haven't already, that speech essentially meant nothing to her in TPOT 19, as she just continued to act selfish and arrogant, refusing to listen to 4 and draining his powers as he was desperately warning her about 1, and giving 1 all of 4 and 2's powers just so she can appease that selfish need of hers of changing her past. So yeah, congrats, Pencil. Your selfish needs are gonna be appeased, just at the expense of Earth now being in its current dystopian state. I hope fixing your past is gonna be well fucking worth it. But don't get me wrong, as insufferable as Pencil is, it doesn't take away the fact that TPOT has been absolutely incredible thus far. And hopefully it continues to produce incredible episodes as we try to figure out how 1 is gonna be stopped. Speaking of which, it's time for me to predict what I think is going to happen in TPOT moving forward. And when I say predictions, I mean predictions, not confirming future events that have already been revealed by Jack and Jellify themselves. Starting off with who I think is going to be eliminated in TPOT 20, on Death Pact yet again, I see Marker going home. Marker just simply has no chance against the others, as Black Hole has been popular forever and is also a main character at this point in the game. Fanny is still really popular, even if she hasn't played a big role lately. And even though Tree also has a decent chance of going home, I think he'll edge out Marker for the last one safe, solely because of the fact that he's now purple. As for Team Bagged, unfortunately, I'm predicting Bottle's gonna be eliminated. Realistically, it should be Tennis Ball going home, since he's done nothing but get chased around by the Force. But you know there's been a bunch of young viewers that have already voted to save him for whatever reason. And it goes without saying that Penn and Lai are obviously not going home anytime soon. As for my other predictions for TPOT 20, to start off, I'm predicting this episode will mostly take place in space, as the 20th episode of all the other BFDI seasons have taken place in space. Secondly, and ironically, I think 2 will start hosting again, as I feel as if Earth being in its current dystopian state is going to spark this sense of motivation to not only host again, but to investigate why Earth has become decrepit. Third, we're gonna get ourselves a Battle for Nothing intro, as 2 doesn't have his powers anymore. Fourth, I think the merge will finally take place in this episode, as the final 13 just seems like a good spot for the merge to happen in TPOT. And on the topic of the merge, my 5th prediction is that we're gonna go back to single eliminations, as we're no longer gonna have 2 teams UFE, only a group of select contestants going up for elimination. And I just think having the 2 lowest voted contestants in that group going home is unfair. My 6th prediction is that we're gonna get another scene with an Exeter. And lastly, I'm predicting that moving forward, 3 is gonna play the role of an anti-hero. And the reason why I think this is because he's currently locked up inside of 4. So he's locked up for a reason, as in maybe he used to cause havoc with 1 before 1 got sealed up in the moon. So I think that's going to indicate some flaws in his character. But at the same time though, I believe that when 6, Bommy, Belle, Needle, and Purpleface come across him, he's going to play a pivotal role in not only helping them escape 4, but in taking down 1 as well. As in, he probably knows what 1's flaws are and how to take advantage of these flaws once he realizes the severity of 1's actions. As for a release date, I honestly don't know, as I'm not really the type of person that tries to predict when new episodes are going to come out. All I know is that this episode is surely coming out in September. But I think I've said what I've had to say for this video. TPOT 19 was a peak episode, the darkest episode in all of BFDI, and it's got me so hyped for not only TPOT 20, but for the future of TPOT moving forward. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of TPOT 19. Be sure to check out some of my other videos on this channel, and until next time, Pensters, I'll see you in my TPOT 20 reaction. This is your boy Super Pen, signing out.